Hi, my name is Anna Rousseau, and I'm here today to talk to you guys about feminism. Feminism is a concept which is really close to my heart and something that is often very much misunderstood. People often hear the word feminism and equate it with misandry or prejudice against men. And I wanted to clear up some issues around that and talk about why we need feminism as a social construct, some of the issues that we have in feminism today, and some of the goals that I see for feminism in the future. So, in the words of Emma Watson, renowned actress and social activist, feminism, by definition, is the belief that men and women should have equal rights and opportunities. So as we can see, there's no kind of implicit bias in that definition. It's all about equality. So let's talk about some of the reasons why we need feminism as a social construct. A lot of people believe that male privilege and female oppression were ended in the 20th century with the creation of suffrage and women gaining the right to vote and own property and so on. But unfortunately, we still have a ways to go in gaining equality, and I'm going to talk about some examples of that. According to Kevin Miller at the American Association of University Women, women in America actually earn about 80% of what men in America do. Now, this is a national average. In Colorado, we actually earn 84%, and the lowest earning women live in Louisiana, where they earn 70% of what men make. So that's pretty rough. Now, one thing that is important to consider in this issue is the concept of intersectionality, which is basically that a person can be from more than one oppressed group and suffer more oppression in that way. So, for example, while women in general make 80% of what men make, white women earn 79%, African American women earn 63%, and Hispanic women earn just 54% of what the average man in America makes. So yeah, these are some of the reasons why we need feminism. Something else that I like to talk about are the issues of domestic and sexual violence, which I want to be very clear absolutely affect men as well, although primarily they do affect women. According to 1in4.org, 9 out of 10 rape victims are women. And according to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, 92% of child abuse perpetrators are men. So one of the things that we think about with these kind of issues is, why do men and women relate to the world in different ways? And something that we talk about is cultural conditioning for children specifically. Little boys are raised to be aggressive and competitive, and little girls are raised to be nice and agreeable and accepting. So that's one of the goals of feminism, is to really be aware of that cultural conditioning and how we raise our children to be equal. Now, while feminism as a whole is a social construct intended to uplift women, we do unfortunately have some toxic forces within feminism itself that are really damaging. For example, you might be familiar with something called trans-exclusionary radical feminism, which Rational Wiki says this really beautifully, is they are doing the patriarchy's work and calling it feminism. Basically, this is a subgroup of people who consider themselves feminists, who believe that only cisgender or women who were assigned their gender at birth are truly women, and it's really focused on transphobia and oppressing trans people. So they are not generally accepted by the larger feminist population, but try to be aware of forces like that. Another issue in the feminist community is the concept of white feminism, which is basically the underrepresentation of women of color in the feminist movement overall. And according to Flare.com, Susan B. Anthony, who was largely considered the mother of the suffrage movement, while she was very hard on women's rights to vote and other feminist movements, she was very soft on issues of slavery. and allowing African American slaves to gain their freedom. So that's really sad. Another example that we see is in the 2016 and 2017 women's marches on Washington. Women of color felt that they were largely underrepresented, especially due to the fact that the majority of white women in America actually voted for Donald Trump, which is unfortunate as he's largely seen as a feminist and opponent. I had a great word for that and I just forgot it. Yep. So moving on, I want to talk again about the concept of intersectionality. So I have a little visual aid here. And if you imagine, okay, so take a person who is a woman, and this line represents her womanhood. She might actually experience sexism in her life, right? Now, if we add the fact that this is a woman of color, we are now seeing that she will also likely experience racism, right? And, this could go on, say she is a trans woman of color. Whoops. Now she's experiencing oppression in a myriad of ways. So in intersectionality, as a feminist movement, we try to be aware that different people are going to be coming from different walks of life and how we can support them all in different ways. In the words of Kimberly Crenshaw in her TED Talk in 2016, many of our social justice problems like racism and sexism are often overlapping, creating multiple levels of injustice. And so I see awareness of intersectionality as a big goal for the future of feminism. So wrapping up, thank you all for your time. I hope you can see that feminism is really a necessary and positive social construct with the goal of creating equality for women and men. And while we do still have some intrinsic problems like trans-exclusive radical feminism and white feminism, we are ultimately moving towards a place of equality for all people. Thank you very much.
You have to point it towards me as well.
Oh.
There we go.